Okay, let's just get right to it. The crypto market is absolutely exploding. Bitcoin has just smashed through its all-time high, blowing past a massive psychological level, and honestly, the excitement is off the charts. Some are even saying we're hitting the acceleration phase. Today, we're going to break down exactly what is fueling this insane surge, but more importantly, we have a critical warning that you need to hear right now. $125,000. Just let that sink in for a second. That is the new peak, the new all-time high for Bitcoin. What a milestone.
And you know, this new peak, it brings us to the core of what we need to talk about today. We're seeing this immense institutional power pushing prices to levels we've only dreamed of. But at the same time, there are some serious red flags flashing that we just can't ignore.
So, here's our game plan for this explainer. First, we'll look at the record itself. Then, we're going to pivot to the signs of overheating in the market. After that, we'll explore where a literal tidal wave of cash could flow next. We'll cover the new long-term rules that are changing the whole industry, and then we'll wrap up with a high-alert action plan to help you navigate all this. All right, let's dive in.
First things first, what is the engine behind this new record? I'll tell you right now, it's not just retail FOMO this time around. Oh no, the story is much, much bigger than that.
The main driver? It's Wall Street. We have seen a record-shattering weekly net inflow of $3.2 billion into the spot Bitcoin ETFs. To put that into perspective, that is a colossal amount of institutional money not just dipping its toes in, but fundamentally changing the market's entire structure. It's validation on a massive scale.
And all this institutional muscle is making a lot of people think we're entering that acceleration phase. If you look at past cycles, this is the final, most powerful leg of a bull run. Now, it's marked by some absolutely wild price swings and extreme volatility, but it's also where you see the most explosive face-melting upward moves.
But, and this is a huge but, with that kind of acceleration comes extreme risk. This is a crucial pivot point in our analysis. We have to look at the warning signs that are becoming crystal clear in the on-chain data.
Wow, okay, this slide shows us something that's both incredible news and a massive red flag all at once. A staggering 99.3% of the entire Bitcoin supply is currently sitting in profit. On one hand, amazing. On the other, it signals a market that is what we call overextended and is extremely vulnerable to a major profit-taking event. I mean, think about it. When almost everyone is a winner, the temptation to cash out becomes enormous, and that could lead to a very sharp retest of old support levels.
And you can literally see the sentiment in the Fear and Greed Index. It's climbed all the way up to 74. That puts us firmly in greed territory, and we're getting awfully close to extreme greed. Historically, you have to use this as a contrarian indicator. The greedier the market gets, the higher the probability of a cool-off, or even a significant correction.
So with Bitcoin looking a little overheated, the big question becomes, where could all this money flow next? And this, my friends, is where a massive opportunity could be brewing, especially for altcoins.
This is the number that really defines the opportunity. Over $300 billion. That is the record-breaking amount of cash just sitting on the sidelines in stablecoins. It's a massive pool of dry powder just waiting to be deployed.
As the source material puts it so perfectly, the rocket fuel is loaded. This incredible pile of liquidity represents the stored potential energy for the next major leg up, and a lot of smart people believe its primary target is going to be the altcoin market.
And here are the specific stories that are attracting all that capital. You've got Solana, which people are calling the new Wall Street because of how good it is for tokenizing real-world assets. XRP is being seen as its own unique institutional play. And then you have this huge wave of speculation around potential new ETF filings for coins like Cardano, Stellar, and Sui. These are the powerful narratives that could just suck in billions.
So the crucial question is, how do you time this potential shift? The key metric to watch, really the only one that matters for this, is Bitcoin dominance. It basically measures Bitcoin's slice of the entire crypto pie. If this number, which is sitting at 58.2% right now, starts to drop, that's a huge signal that capital is rotating out of Bitcoin and into altcoins, potentially kicking off a major alt season.
Now, let's just zoom out for a second. Beyond all the short-term craziness, there are some fundamental long-term shifts happening that are providing a really solid foundation for this entire market cycle.
And look, these are powerful structural tailwinds. First, the new SEC Chair Paul Atkins is making a clear regulatory framework a top priority.
That could remove a ton of uncertainty and bring in even more conservative money. Second, the proposed Genius Act could legitimize stablecoins, which are a critical piece of the whole crypto puzzle. And finally, you just can't deny the corporate and mainstream adoption anymore, with over 75 public companies holding Bitcoin and giants like Walmart getting into crypto payments. This isn't just hype, it's deep, structural support for long-term growth.
So how on earth do you actually navigate this high-stakes environment? With high potential reward comes high risk, so you absolutely, positively need a clear, actionable playbook.
Here it is, a simple, non-negotiable strategy for this phase. First, seriously consider reducing your position sizes to manage the volatility. Second, always, and I mean always, use a stop loss to protect your capital from those sudden, sharp drops. And third, be disciplined. Take partial profits on the way up. Don't let greed completely take over your strategy.
So, to sum it all up, what we're dealing with here is a real double-edged sword. On one side, you have this incredibly powerful, institutionally fueled uptrend with just insane momentum. But on the other, you have a seriously overheated market with an extremely high risk of a sharp correction.
And looking at the immediate future, keep your eyes glued to two key things this October 6th. First, the daily spot Bitcoin ETF flow data. That's our best real-time gauge of what the big institutions are thinking. And second, any news coming out of ECB President Christine Lagarde's hearing on stablecoin regulation. That could set a major precedent for global policy.
Which leaves us with one final, fascinating question to chew on. As the market goes wild speculating on this new wave of potential altcoin ETFs, which of these contenders, ADA, XLM, SUI, HYPE, do you think has the potential to see the most explosive growth? Let me know what you think. Thanks for tuning in.